Hi Homeworthy, I'm Wallis and welcome to my home in Los Angeles. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Wallis. I am a brand and marketing consultant and we are here in my home in Los Angeles, California. The home is actually an original Craftsman from the 1920s. It has a lot of the original features which you'll see throughout. We have this gorgeous wood trim and then some original tile in the kitchen. And I used to live in New York. I moved to Los Angeles at the beginning of 2024 and I saw this house on Zillow and I absolutely fell in love and just completely hounded the landlord until it was mine. And I've lived here for about a year and a half. It's just such a special place and I really, really love living here. I would describe the style in my house as kind of playing off the colors and the textures of the natural world. I think it's important to have a lot of different textures. So there's some, cane and some jute rugs. There's a bit of sherpa around because I'm sort of grounded in the colors that I have chosen to decorate my house. I think that it's just a lot of blues and browns and greens and they just kind of play off each other, which makes it easy when I buy something, bring it home, it kind of already will work with what I have here. So we're here in the dining room. This is kind of a multi-purpose room and you'll see why. We have a bit of an entryway situation happening, but primarily the room is used for dining. I used to work partially from home and in the office, but once I transitioned to fully work from home, I needed a desk space. So this is my office area. I sit here all the time and I just really love how this came together. I didn't know if I was gonna have enough space for this, but I found this desk on Facebook and it just kind of works perfectly to separate the actual dining area from the desk area. So that's lovely. And then something else about the room that I think is a really special feature is this built-in cabinet. I saw this when I was looking at the listing photos of the home, and it's just really special to have something like this because you really don't find them often. It just has a few things that I love, some menus. I do like to steal menus, you will see. So we have some from Great White there. I love the art on those. And then just some books and some pottery. I've made this and a few other things around the house. I used to do a lot of pottery. So it's just nice to have this little area where I can keep all of my treasures. I love that I get the storage, but I'm not compromising on the space here because it's built in. So that's lovely. And then again, just the trim in this room I think is amazing. There's a lot of natural light. We have 3 windows here. So in the afternoon and evening, the sun kind of goes over and then I can see the sunset out the front door, which is just really special. And then on this side, this is more of like the entryway, if you will. So I have just a table where I keep my keys and my sunglasses and I put some of my bags on the wall. And then over here, I have these 2 menus. These are very special to me because this is Found Oyster in LA. If you have never been there, you need to go. And then this is from St. Jardine, which is in New York. And I just kind of love that these are both of my favorite restaurants and places that I live and used to live, and I love it. I think it's really special and reminds me of a different time in my life and where I am now, and I always collect menus wherever I go if I'm in Europe or where I used to live, so I think that's a really fun special detail. And then I just have a Slim Aarons print there because I love him and I think it's just a fun, bright print. Redid the light fixture here. The one that came when I moved in just really wasn't anything special, and I just love how a paper lantern looks. It just adds a bit of warmth and a bit more texture than what was in the ceiling originally, so I swapped that out. And I love having just kind of a round dining table. I can add another chair if I'm having more people over, and the rug my mom gave me, it was in a house that we used to live in when I was a kid. And I kind of thought it wasn't going to work in this space, but it actually ties in with some of the browns on the wall. So I think it's really special to have just some pieces that tell a story about my past. I think one of the main things I was looking for was a lot of natural light coming from a smaller, darker apartment in New York. That was really important to me. The house also has a backyard, which was not necessarily on the bucket list, but is a huge added bonus. And I don't think I could live without outdoor space now. The other thing that's kind of quirky, but in my bedroom in New York, the bed was up against the wall, and so every morning making my bed, I would not be able to go to the other side to make it. And I kept thinking, I can't wait until the day that I have a bed where I can walk to both sides and make it, and now I can do that. Coming here, I brought some of the things that meant a lot to me, like the art, which we will see, and then I bought some new pieces that kind of worked with the space. I think it was very organic. I didn't necessarily have a way that I was hoping the home would look. It was more just, let's fill it with things that I like, that complemented pieces I already had. So it's been really exciting. I think to me, design is always kind of a work in progress. So I will do something and like it for a month and then need to change it up. But it's been really exciting kind of defining my personal style now in more of a home versus living with a roommate where you're kind of confined to one room of your style and then the rest of the home kind of being like a mishmash of everyone else's items. So I'm really lucky and I feel very grateful that I get to have the entire space to kind of design and play around with. Okay, so now we're in the living room. I love how these two spaces kind of are connected but also separate. So over here we have a print. I actually found this print on the street in New York. It was literally someone was throwing it away and I thought it was really cool. And I just think that saying one man's trash, another man's treasure really rang true, especially with this. I love it. I've had it for years. Very cool. Something else, I bought this pot when I was in Round Top, Texas on a work trip and I paid like $100 at FedEx for them to bubble wrap it and ship it back to me. So again, I just think it's important to find pieces that tell a story, that spark an emotion when you look at them, because that's very special to me and reminds me of a different time in life. And then I just have a big mirror on the wall. It kind of bounces the light off and makes the room feel bigger. So love that. We have a CB2 couch here. I used to have an L-shaped sofa, but I just didn't really like the layout of the living room at that time. So I got this, which again, it kind of separates these two rooms, which I love. And then I have a layered rug situation happening. So we have a jute rug and then a Moroccan kind of tassel-y rug on top to add some warmth. And then something that I love in the living room, I made this bowl in my pottery class and then I filled it with these rocks that I got on a trip when I was in Barcelona at the beach. So a lot of things in my house are from somewhere else that just tell a story about my life and places I've been. I actually bought these chairs before I bought the couch. I just wanted something that had texture. I love that they're kind of sherpa-y and really no one ever sits in them, but that's okay. They look nice and I think they're cool. So that's fun. In this corner here, we just have a little rattan lamp. I had wanted this for a really long time and I didn't buy it. And I think if you keep thinking about something for a really long time, that is kind of your sign to pull the trigger versus impulse buying. So after like 3 months of thinking about it, I bought it and I love it. And I have some just books down there. I just really like books. I think they add a lot to a space and I think it's especially cool if they tell a story. So I've got those. We have this lovely ficus. It's great and get some light there. And then here we just have my TV cabinet. This is actually huge underneath, so I keep a lot of like spare linens and things under there. And then I've just decorated it with some coffee table books that I've collected over time, along with a ton of matches from my favorite places in New York, LA, all over. And then some sand dollars that I found on a beach trip. So again, I just kind of collect these things and then display them all over my house. The other thing that I did in the living room was I installed these sconces. I literally just drilled a hole into the wall and connected them. They're not hardwired, so I have a battery operated light bulb. And I just think they're great for movie nights. My mom is she wouldn't call herself an interior designer, but she has that kind of trait. She owns a home interiors store in North Carolina. So I think growing up she would always drag me to Round Top, Texas, to antique markets. We would go on road trips and find a lot of quirky things that at that time I thought were super strange. But that definitely is a trait that I now emulate, where I'm always looking for those kinds of things, or picking things that are a little bit harder to find that kind of mean something to you. So that was definitely and has been an inspiration. A lot of times I'll buy something, or I'll be in a store and send her a photo and say, would this look good in my house? If I think it will, she might say no, and vice versa. But it's kind of always fun to have someone else to bounce ideas off of. And whenever I go back to North Carolina, I do go in her store and steal a lot of things that you'll see around the house. But yeah, I think the inspiration for designing this was just playing off of the California aesthetic almost. Again, there's like a lot of natural light, so I feel like I didn't really have to do much with decor, because once 5 o'clock hits, even in the morning, the light floods in and it's so beautiful, and it would be beautiful on a blank wall. Okay, so we're now leaving the living room and entering the bedroom. The bedroom is one of my favorite places in the house because it's just so serene. I really have very minimal color in here because when I go to bed, I just like it to be crisp and white, and I just love how that kind of almost feels like a hotel in a way. So I just have this really lovely linen bedspread and pillows that just feel like a cloud. It's wonderful. And then I have this print. People ask me about it all the time. I bought this print on Facebook Marketplace. It was like $10. And then come to find out, it's by a lovely artist who I became friends with on the internet post buying this. But it's an original canvas, and it's just really cool and kind of, again, tells a story. I feel like everything tells a story in here. My nightstands were also from Facebook Marketplace. I bought them when I moved in just because I needed something, and I ended up keeping them. I love them. I love like the kind of black and white and blue color story that I have going on. And above the bed, I have this kind of small print. It's a poem from a former colleague, her husband. And it just says winter dreams of summer love, and I don't know, I love how that sounds, so I hung that there. And I kind of like how it's small against the big wall. Again, just feels really nice. On the bed, I think having a duvet cover is really the most elite bedding you could possibly have. This one is actually from my mom's home store, which is wonderful. I think I might have shoplifted that, so Mom, if you're watching, apologies. But it's just very comfortable. Linen gets softer with each wash, and going to bed every night just feels like I'm sleeping on a cloud. And I love having this really long body pillow. It just adds a bit more flair to the bed, but the colors are still muted, which is nice to kind of keep in line with this very neutral vibe that I have going on. The other thing that I love are these sort of sheer curtains that I have. So I'm still getting all of the natural light. I'm just not seeing completely outside, which is really nice. My favorite space in the home is definitely a toss-up between my bedroom or my kitchen. I love my bedroom because it's pretty serene in there, and every morning the sun rises and I get just such a beautiful sunrise kind of picture of the leaves playing on my closet door, which I just absolutely love waking up to. But my kitchen, which people on the internet kind of obsess over, is very beautiful. It has original tile from the 1920s, and it's yellow, and it's light all day long, and it's a really special place. And I love to cook, so I love being in the kitchen. Quick pit stop here. Nothing crazy to talk about, but I do love the beadboarding on the bathroom. It kind of reminds me of being back home in North Carolina in the summer. There's just something really nostalgic about it. And right before I moved in, the bathroom was remodeled. So we have brand new tile in the shower and on the floors, which is amazing because it is such an old house. So it's nice to kind of have a few features that have been kind of kept up with the times. And I think tile can really make or break a space, so it's nice that this is sort of a bit more new and modern. Okay, so now we've made it to the kitchen. This is arguably my and most people on the internet's most favorite space in the entire home. The tile is original from the 1920s, so that is just such a special detail that we have. It's also butter yellow, which everyone is kind of obsessing over right now. One thing I love about the kitchen, especially this one, is that I have this window here above the sink that I get to look at. So if I'm cooking or doing dishes, I have this beautiful view of my backyard. Coming from an apartment that was very dark, it's just really special to have a ton of natural light, especially doing something that takes time that I love, like cooking. I get to do it in such a beautiful space. Another thing that's special about the kitchen, when I moved in, there was nothing on the walls, and I actually built these shelves myself. So I went to Home Depot and had a piece of wood cut and came home. It's really not that special, but I think the shelves added a ton of character, and now I kind of get to display special things to me. So these bowls I made in my pottery class, and just some cookbooks that I love, but a fun little detail. And it doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money sometimes to make a space feel really great. So moving on, this print is by the same artist, Rose Liddell, who did the one in my bedroom. This was part of the like $15 Facebook Marketplace find. I just love it. It's really cute, and I love that when you walk in the front door, you get a straight shot of looking at the house rules. So that's that side of the kitchen. Coming over here, probably the most special piece in the kitchen and maybe the home is the stove. The stove was not original to the home, but it is an antique stove that kind of fits in with the vibe of the kitchen. People are very confused about how this works. So it's actually a gas stove, which is amazing. And then it just has this cover. So if I'm not cooking, that kind of acts as like a counter surface. Same with this is a little counter surface. And then we have the oven there. It's just such a cute feature. It has these little claw feet and it's yellow, and I love the charm of it. And then I have this sort of stainless steel table here with my caraway pans that I love. And then this print that I bought at an estate sale for $5, and I framed it. When I moved in, this was sort of hanging here, and initially I was going to take it off the ceiling because I didn't like it, but I've really fallen in love with it. And I love hanging my strainers here and my oven mitts that are very worn, and I probably need new ones. The other thing about the kitchen that's very special is the floor. So this is the original checkered linoleum floor from the 1920s. I think when I saw the listing photos of this property, seeing the floor really made it feel super special and unique, and that was kind of one of those things where I thought I really want to live here. We also have this area underneath the sink for storage. And something actually about the entire kitchen is there's a ton of storage in the built-ins, which we will look at, but I did add this little curtain. I think it's just so dainty and cute and kind of plays into that historical kitchen vibe without being cut off with a piece of wood. So it just adds to the charm. Something else I really love about the kitchen is the hardware on all of the cabinets. Because it was original to the home, it's not your typical knob. It's kind of this older little knob, but I just think they're so charming and sweet, and I love that. And I have a ton of storage up here as well as down there. I really don't even fill all of it. But this little built-in nook is very cute. I have another menu from a barbecue restaurant in Charleston where I went to college, my favorite restaurant, and a little coffee area. But I just think having this storage without compromising space is a really great feature of the home. A lot of the time I'll post pictures of my house on the internet, or people will come over and kind of ask to help style their homes or design advice that I could give. And I think piece of design advice that I receive that I really hold true is that if art or something you're buying means something to you or tells a story, then you'll never get tired of it. And I have really taken that into consideration when buying things and decorating my home. And a lot of things here tell a story or were from a place I traveled to or just have a bit more meaning. I think it's important. It's more important to find something that has meaning than just buying a lot of random stuff to fill a home, because you will get tired of it over time, and I don't think you can really define your personal style just by trying to buy a lot of things. So I think it's just really important to make sure that the items in your home have meaning to you. Okay, so now we're in the backyard patio situation. We've got this lovely sort of covered porch that you walk out onto. So I've got a table here, and then if you follow me back into the backyard, we have this wonderful open patio. I have a little herb garden here and a soaking tub for the hot summer days. And then I just put a rug and some outdoor furniture. I've got some tomatoes growing, but this area is just so special. I host friends out here. I sit out here in the afternoons, and I installed some string lights as well. So it's just such a fun area, and I feel very grateful to even have outdoor space, especially coming from New York. It's really just such a game changer. And it's very lush and private back here, which I love. I think home to me means somewhere that I can relax, I can have people over, somewhere that kind of feels like an outward extension of who I am. And at the end of the day, somewhere that I am excited to go home to, and somewhere that I'm excited to wake up in. Thanks so much for stopping by, Homeworthy. Come by anytime.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.